There have been some pretty big changes coming to the kits of Moika, Citlali, and Lanyan. In this video, we're going to talk about the impacts on all of them, what it means for the damage they do on their teams, their quality of life, and what further future changes these might signify. Welcome to Jello Impact, where we build and test every single character to help you decide who you want to wish for and build. By the way, if my camera starts flickering, the cord seems to be shot. I have new cord coming in. Hopefully it survives the video. First of all, according to most calculations I've seen online, I looked at Flip, Jay Stern, the Genshin Scientist, and some people on Reddit. It's looking like, in addition to just reading the multipliers myself, it's looking like it's going to be about a 15 to 20% damage reduction for her overall team. This is honestly fine because it puts her much more in line with Arlecchino, if not higher than Arlecchino still in terms of overall damage output, depending on who you're talking to. So if you're happy with your Arlecchino damage, then you probably will be happy with your Moika damage. Something to consider is that it should be comfier to play Moika because she can actually be healed, so she should be a bit less prone to danger, and you can run a healer instead of a shielder perhaps, meaning you might be able to get more damage because Arlecchino with a shield is definitely less damage. I personally currently consider Arlecchino the second best DPS in the game. Mualani is the best in terms of peak performance, but Arlecchino is more consistent for most players. So for Moika to be higher damage than the second best damage dealer in the game, and also have more quality of life, it should be easier to play Moika than play Arlecchino, who's already pretty easy to play, and Moika also has better AoE. It could still leave her in the competition for the best DPS in the game. Obviously, it's too early to call, right? We couldn't call Novelette being the best DPS in the game right when he came out. Plus, he didn't really shine fully until Farina came out anyways. But yeah, she's nerfed with her team DPS, but it's not too big of a deal. Small reaction to buff. Thanks for TGS for that number. A 3% team damage decrease based on the buff reduction. This is the buff that she does with her burst to Mualani teams or other teams where you're using her as an off-field pyro. Something to keep in mind that we didn't know before is that her skill duration for off-field pyro app and damage lasts 12 seconds. So I saw a lot of people saying that 12 seconds, oh, my camera's flicking. The 12 seconds is bad. This makes her worse than Xiangling. The thing is, on most teams, you don't actually need her to last longer than 12 seconds. In some teams, it's actually good. For Mualani teams, you actually prefer something like a 12-second duration so that you can set up for your next rotation. Too much pyro lasting for too long makes it too hard to reapply hydro to get your Shallonen buffs, and it extends your rotation. On top of that, one of Xiangling's most problematic parts is her 20-second cooldown, which extends rotations quite a bit, which makes her teams do less damage overall because you have to wait for her burst to come off cooldown. I would prefer to see that this pyro app be something more like 15 seconds. I think that's kind of the sweet spot, but I would prefer to have 12 seconds than 20. Also, Chlorand doesn't want anything longer than 12, doesn't need anything longer than 12 seconds. This should be perfectly fine for Kanich. Navia doesn't mind this. Raiden absolutely prefers this. Unless I'm missing something. Let me know if you think that this uptime being 12 seconds is going to be a problem. I personally don't think it will be, but I do hope they buff it to maybe 14. Overall, were these nerfs warranted? That I don't really know. We'll have to see how good she is in terms of quality of life, in terms of AoE, when we actually play and test her. I expect them to buff her in some way. They're giving us a nerf early into beta. I don't think that she is, based on what I'm seeing right now, I don't think she's crazy strong. She's definitely an upgrade, but are people willing to pull just for an upgrade, or do people want something kind of bonkers? And the question is, do they want to increase her personal damage and make her personal damage super crazy, or maybe they want to increase the buffing and the off-field support that she gives? I would like to see some maybe pyro application buff. Maybe she applies more pyro, maybe it's more frequently, maybe it's a stronger aura, maybe they extend this duration a bit. I think that would mostly be bait though. I think that would mostly just make people happy rather than actually do something different. But the fact that they nerf both her buff and her personal damage makes me question where they think that she's at. But yeah, let's move on to Citlali. And by the way, I'm going to be making a Pyro Traveler vid probably tomorrow, so make sure to subscribe for that. And we're giving away both a Moika and a Citlali during next patch. So check out my Tactor articles down below. The 4-star How to build every meta 4-star article is really, really good, and I'm going to be adding to it more this week. Really, really useful to send your new friends, and commenting on any of the newer articles means you're entered into the giveaway, so go subscribe and check it out. Citlali got much fewer changes. She basically has a lower elemental mastery scaling multiplier on her burst. This means she's going to be doing slightly less damage, which isn't ideal. I was actually hoping that they would lean into the damage portion. Reducing her damage portion, for me, well, it's just more fun to do lots of damage, especially with a support, and you're building elemental mastery on her anyways, so it would have been fun to see that number be bigger. Plus, you have to use her burst, so it's nice to see it be more satisfying. Something also to keep in mind is her shield scaling is low. I was originally talking like she was going to be a Zhongli replacement, which she definitely will be in terms of where you put her, but having a weak shield and not being able to auto refresh her shield, like her shield isn't as weak as Baizhu, but Baiju's auto refreshes pretty frequently. So if they're going to keep Citlali's shield scaling super low, I would like to see it auto refresh similar to Baizhu. That's the main change that I would like to see for Citlali. I would like to see some cryo support. It's actually insane that she doesn't buff any cryos. I was hoping, one of the reasons why I was happy for her doing damage was I was like, maybe we can cope with a Shenhe team, because then like a Shenhe Chaska team, like Shenhe can support both Chaska and Citlali, and I know it's a waste because you're running 2 cryos, but I was hoping if Citlali was doing a bunch of damage, then it was maybe Chaska, Bennett, Shenhe, Citlali would be the team, and you'd melt all your hits. And if Citlali was doing some damage, that might make up for Chaska losing out on one of her shots, but it seems like they don't want things to go that way. They don't want us to have fun. So it seems like she's still like a middle ground between a comfy support and a top tier support. I'm just really not sure how good her shield is going to be. It's like, that's really depends, because if her shield is really good, then it's worth taking the damage loss, and if her buffs are really good, then maybe you don't care as much about the shield, but I know a lot of people really care about the shield. Her support potential is still really strong, especially for certain teams that don't have like a slot to fill in that way, like for Chaska, for Mualani, for Melt Arlecchino, you can run double cryo. Those are the ones that her damage amplification supportive aspects are really prominent and might make her one of the best choices. But if her shield is low, then I'm not sure how much people will pull her just for comfort, which, I mean, it does make sense because they want to keep Zhongli's niche somewhere. And if every shielder has a crazy strong shield, then that's going to be tough. But I think I would really like to see a refreshing shield. That's what I think the fix is for Citlali. And since they reduced her damage, that tells me that we're not going to do more damage. So in the future, I expect maybe more, either more shielding or more buffing. That's what I expect. But again, it's really hard to know absolutely for sure until we test, because things, especially reaction-based supports like this, like she supports melt reactions, right? And vape reactions. Reaction-based support is very hard to test for sure until they actually come out, because there's a lot of different little factors. And finally, Bird. Bird is buffed. Well, 8 seconds to 12.5 seconds. So that is honestly pretty huge. 12.5 seconds means that she's going to last almost every character's rotation, especially, and keep this in mind, because you'll almost always want to use Animo last in the rotation to get max Viridescent Venerer debuff uptime. So you'll almost always be using her right before you switch to your DPS, and 12.5 seconds should last the vast majority of DPSs. Almost everyone that you would have used her, that is going to last. So really, really, really huge, honestly. This is going to make her a lot more comfy of a support, and to have this change right at Constellation 0 is just super sick. Also, I guess I missed that Moika got like a Constellation 4 buff and Citlali got a Constellation 2 buff, but I'm personally not gonna cover too much Constellation buffs and nerfs in the beta. It just seems like layers on top of already, like layers of speculation on top of speculation already. So we'll wait until it's a bit more finalized, or if they're really much bigger changes. But yeah, at C0 for Lanyan, she's looking like a really solid support and as a free character. Again, I want to make sure that her swirls are like easy to accomplish, but I think that this could be like a really nice, like, you know, yoimiya buff or something, like, or for characters that need a shielder. So, or a lot of characters. Like, I'm excited to try her out. The other thing is her burst has decent crowd control. It looks similar to Kazuha's hold E, or hold skill, which is pretty cool, honestly. We're almost used to Animo characters not having crowd control these days, so to have a character that actually has some crowd control is pretty sick, and I think everyone is quite happy to see that. Also, she has EM scaling, just like Sucrose, which means she could be a good driver. Means she could be just like Sucrose, but comfier. Sucrose with a shield, like using her on field. And she has really, really pretty normal attacks, or at least I'm assuming she will be. I've heard she will be, have pretty, really pretty normal attacks. So I'm getting like pretty darn excited for this character. I actually think I might be the most excited for this character than I am about all of them. It's not true, because Moika being a Xiangling replacement is pretty huge, and I've been waiting for that for a very long time. It is very annoying. The more I play Xiangling on my Mualani teams, the more annoyed I get. Xiangling's biggest problems are the energy and the cooldown being too long, and Moika should fix both of these, and there should be enough pyro application for Mualani to vape all her hits, so I'm really excited for that. I'm really excited for Moika and Cloran teams. I'm really excited to see, well, I'm not really excited for DPS, but I am excited. I'm excited for Citlali, but like, this being a free character and having such just a nice, comfy, high quality of life kit, I think, and just given away for free for Lantern Rite, I think is just really, really nice. So I'm excited for this. Let me know who you're excited for, and make sure to subscribe. The Pyro Traveler video is coming. Enter the giveaway with Tactor down below. And if you don't want to do any of those things, that is totally fine. Just watching the video has been more than enough. Thanks so much. Bye for now.